Hi everyone, Life with Keyne and Malcolm. We're back.
Episode
two.
All right. Wow. Hopefully you guys caught episode 1.
Yes.
Give us some feedback on it.
Mm-hmm.
We do want to hear what you have to say, what you got from it, because our main objective with doing all of this is to really help people and change lives for the better.
Yes, and if you're a first-time listener, please go watch season 1. You definitely want to get caught up, so please make sure you check us out.
Yeah.
Season 1.
Yeah, and it's all about, relationships and how we met, our background, and our story as it unfolds. A lot of things we didn't anticipate, never would have thought would happen, but then how we got through it. And so we left off last episode giving you guys sort of a glimpse as to what happened after the wedding and what happened in October with our son Malcolm Isaiah, and we were talking a little bit about how those sorts of events that happen, how they affect you physically and mentally, and how to get through that. And I sort of mentioned, obviously what I do and having families where I've actually had to tell your child is no longer with us, or just giving devastating news like that, and not really thinking about, knowing of course that it's horrific and the parents are affected, but not really understanding because I don't see them anymore. And so it's kind of like, okay, what happens next? What happens to those families next? What happens to those parents and siblings next? And so this episode, we want to talk about that. We want to talk about the impact something like that, and anything that you may be going through can have on you physically, mentally, and breaking the silence.
Absolutely. Don't want to suffer in silence.
No, not at all. And, for me, after Malcolm Isaiah had passed, and I think just everything, and we talked about our blended family, and so being a newlywed and just so much, my body actually started to react, and I didn't know what was going on at the time, but one of the things that happened, my blood pressure went up. And I just thought it was a, kind of momentary, this isn't, a hereditary thing. I'm not claiming that. I've been washed by the blood. I'm not claiming any diseases, any hereditary, any bloodline, nothing. This is just because of events, right? And so I began to check it, but at the same time, I was having chest pains. I was having pains in my back. And being a physician, I don't know how many of you out there can relate or not a physician, but my mind went to, of course, the worst case scenario and what's going on. And, is this my heart? Do I have a pulmonary embolism? Is it my lungs? Is it a dissecting aorta? My husband had to hear it all. And he's like, he's on ChatGPT, like, what should we do? What should I do? But
for real.
For real. But the awesome thing was he was right there and listening to me and all my complaints. And for a while you think, am I crazy? I know I'm feeling this, but you go through all the tests and everything was fine. My blood work was fine. I had a whole cardiac workup, cardiac CTA, that was all fine. And they started me on blood pressure medication. And at the time, I didn't know it was the highest dose of the medication. And so the one other thing that I realized, so I've never taken medications other than, multivitamins and things like that. So my body definitely reacts to every single medication that I take. And so I started having, just some other kind of symptoms, and I didn't really understand, but it was causing a lot of anxiety because I knew I was in pain. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know where all this was coming from. And I remember even like, because I love to work out. And so, even working out, after working out, I was it was a lot of effort to take a deep breath, or I was coughing and I had this throat clearing thing. And if you watch episode 1, you actually hear me clearing my throat. And people would, I've been doing that for years, and just thought, okay, this is normal. And so, but then I started with the kind of, upper abdominal pain. And really, I realized that my chest pain was more kind of my upper abdomen and kind of, just sort of just sore all around. And that was the one thing I noticed. So when I press, for those of you who don't know, when it's typically when it's your heart, the pain isn't going to be elicited if you push on your chest. It's just going to be there whether you push or not. But pressing doesn't make it worse. And so for me, when I pressed my chest or my back, it hurt. So it was almost like inflammation. And so, of course, what do you take for inflammation? You take Advil, NSAID. So I was, physician treating herself and taking all this stuff. And then finally, I began to tell people, this is what's going on. This is what is happening. And, my friends who were not physicians were like, I think it might be gastritis. You need to go see a GI doctor. And me not, I'm a physician. I didn't even think, okay, this could all be from my stomach. And lo and behold, I went to see a GI doctor and saw this amazing nurse practitioner, and she listened to me. She listened to all my symptoms, and she was like, I'm going to schedule you for upper endoscopy next week. And I was like, next week? Now my anxiety is really for real. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what? I don't want to be put to sleep. Just being a big baby, physicians were the worst. And so I did. And then I found another general practitioner, right. And she, just in listening to me, she was like, I think it might be gastritis and possibly an ulcer. And I said, giving me all these symptoms? And she's like, every single one, from the chest pain to the back pain to the shortness of breath to even the dizziness that I was having. I left that out. I was having dizziness because gastritis can inflame your sinuses. Who knew all this stuff? And of course, the anxiety sending my blood pressure up, and the pain, and then not knowing what's going on. And so but in the meantime, also lowering my stress, because I didn't know what the blood pressure. So with our blended family, everyone had a chore to do. I was like, okay, I'm not washing any dishes, taking out any trash. We're not cooking, and so that worked out in our favor. So I was doing everything to relieve my stress and just really try to bring that all down. And so my general practitioner, who was just amazing, listening to me, and then she said, that's your dosage was quite high for your blood pressure, and you never had issues before. So let's start you off. Let's change that medication that could have, and I was on Norvasc, by the way. And she said, let's change the hydrochlorothiazide, the lowest dose, and let's just see, because that could have triggered some of what your stomach issues and everything else after that. And so we did. I had the upper endoscopy. It was great. I went well. I was scared for nothing, anxious for nothing. Now I really do know what my patients feel. And lo and behold, I had an ulcerous gastritis, peptic ulcer, and esophageal hiatal hernia, all explaining my coughing, the clearing of my throat, everything that I was experiencing, including the blood pressure. And so, but had I stayed silent and just kept everything to myself and not verbalized and shared, I would have literally been suffering in silence.
Yeah. And I want to say to every person out there that you're watching the person you absolutely love go through something and you feel like, man, I just don't know what to do. For me, I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I listened. Now, it was difficult though, because there was times my wife, she would panic. She would feel anxious, and because she didn't understand, she knew something was going on, but she just didn't know what it was. And so for me on the other end though, we were going to the hospital and they're saying, your blood pressure is high, but your heart's okay, everything's okay. Next thing you know, we're back home. And so for me, it was difficult because I'm listening to her. I know she's going through something, but I'm like, what is it? What's going on? Is my baby okay? What is happening? And now you have to remember too, it's different for me. Because if you watch season 1, I talk a lot about my late wife, Wanda. And so now she's concerned about her heart. I'm like, oh God, we can't play with that. We can't play. I cannot let that happen. Not on my watch. And so, so a lot was going on in my heart and my mind. But I was there. Mm-hmm. I was there. And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn. I'm saying that to every listener, that you have a loved one and they are going through something, and then when they get anxious, for me it did become difficult because I was like, okay, and then my baby, she was getting worked up. She's getting worked up because she's like, okay, something's wrong with me, something's going on. I'm like, baby, calm down, it's gonna be okay, we're gonna be all right, you're gonna be okay. And so it got to a point where it was like, okay, I'm not sure if it's just her emotions, but when we finally got to the right doctor, I was like, my baby knew what the heck she was talking about. Everybody else didn't know what she was talking about, but she knew what she was talking about. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to listen. We're going to work this out together. We're going to figure it out together. We're going to continue to pray. And God answered every one of our prayers because he began to give understanding, and he helped us through it together. And so, again, work with your loved one. Don't treat them like they're crazy. Don't treat them like they don't know what the heck they're going through. Because you have to remember, they're already feeling like the doctor's not listening to them. You don't want to be that person not listening as well. So let's make sure we stay together. And we stood together. And then when we finally,
every doctor's appointment.
Oh my gosh!
Not this one.
Everyone.
Not this one.
But I was so grateful for the PCP that you finally met, and Dr. Kumar. Yeah. And she really listened to my wife and gave her the right advice. And now we went from dealing with the symptoms to dealing with the root cause. That changed our lives. Especially my baby. Yes. I tell you now, fellas, woo, we good now. We good now. Okay, baby. So, it's in, I'm so glad you didn't suffer in silence. Yeah. And I'm so glad you trusted me.
It says, let the sick call on the elders.
Yeah.
And that's so important because there's so many other people, and it doesn't even have to be a physician. Like I said, it was my friend, she's not a physician, who was like, I had that same thing. And then as I began to tell my story, people are like, oh my gosh, I had that same thing. And one of my other friends reached out to me and was like, "Oh my gosh, I thought it was my heart too, and they thought it was my heart, and I need another upper endoscopy, and just so many other people." And then now we're sharing like, "Oh, what can you eat? What can you eat? Okay, try this and try that, and this is bland, and that'll help it." And it's just, and I think sometimes we are sort of like, well, it's none of their business, or it's I'm going to keep my business to myself. And that's all well and good. But again, you might be suffering for no reason or going through something, because one of the things that actually Dr. Kumar had said, she was like, because I was like, have you ever had a patient with these symptoms? She was like, the exact symptoms.
Yeah.
But they would go for months. And I'm like,
Several
how?
months.
I don't even understand. Like, you are literally miserable. You don't have an appetite. You don't have, I literally, like, I didn't want to eat. And that is so unlike me, because I eat every hour on the hour. Well, maybe every 2 hours, but I do eat every 2 hours. But now with what I have, I actually have to eat every 2 hours. So I was training myself without even knowing.
But even when you were eating every 2 hours, you were eating food that helped your body, that was healthy for your body. You weren't just eating junk.
Right.
So.
But there were other things that I do like to eat. I like my citrus. I like my spices, and of course I can't have that right now. That'll make it worse. But that was even helpful to me, and the reassurance of knowing I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I'm not alone, and I think that's I listen to my patients. They get on different groups for whatever their illness or ailment may be. And they really find solace in connecting with people who have what they have, or going through what they're going through. And it just makes you feel like, okay, I'm not crazy. Because at a point in time, you really feel like you're losing your mind. You're like, oh my gosh, what is really happening? But it's real, and dealing with that is real. And one of the ways, I do little kind of Thursday thoughts and TikToks with my business, my practice. And, one of the things that I talked about was how our brain responds to trauma, and how you can basically cause your brain to divert from the trauma. And it's really talking out loud. And our brains respond to talking out loud. And it's so important. It's so important to not hold things in. And I hear people say it all the time. They're like, oh no, I'm just going to keep it all in. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Your brain doesn't like that. And once that kind of happens, whether it be a traumatic event, kind of like we experience, once that happens and your brain goes there, then it starts to release other things that cause you to be depressed, or cause you to be anxious, and just all the things that, really, really cause you to suffer, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk a little bit about how, it's we're talking about suffering in silence. And I remember feeling like, man, I don't feel well, or and then I'm starting to feel like I'm carrying a lot emotionally because of Malcolm Isaiah's death and how he died. But I was feeling like, man, my wife needs me. My wife needs me. Our kids need us. And so I was talking a little bit here and there, and I was sharing with my wife. I wasn't trying to carry it like Superman, but at the same time, I knew I had to give my wife the attention that she needed, and make sure our kids, and too, I was doing videos, motivating folks, inspiring folks, and doing all this to help encourage somebody else. But I was still feeling sad, and I was still feeling emotional. I had different triggers in my life, or different triggers thinking about that would cause me to think about Malcolm Isaiah and his life. And one day, it was in the middle of the night, middle of the night, and I just started crying uncontrollably, and I was breathing heavy. My wife was knocked out, sleeping hard, and I wasn't trying to hide it, but at the same time, I didn't want to wake her up. But I'm just, it's uncontrolled. But don't you know, I'm crying, I'm sobbing, I'm breathing heavy. My wife, in her deep sleep, she places her hand on me. She placed her hand on me. Man, almost made me tear up right now. But she placed her hand on me, and that said, I am not alone. Even in her sleep, she took care of me. She was there. And so it's so important that we don't hide, because I could have went into another room. I could have went into another room. I could have cried and woke up the next day like I'm good. But I cried. She put her arm on me. And I was like, man, I just blessed my whole world. And then in the next morning, I told her everything that was going on and everything that I experienced. And she was like, oh, babe, you should have woke me up. I was like, you did what you were supposed to do. You did what you were supposed to do, and you helped me. She helped me. You helped me. And so don't suffer in silence. Allow the people that truly love you in your world, because it makes all the difference.
So speaking about that, I mean, what helped you really, and of course, you know, no one will ever get over this or get over any trauma that you experience. You don't really get over it, but how do you get through it? Yeah. What helped you get through it?
Several things helped me. One, talking to you, and living life with you, traveling, still enjoying life, not just sitting in a corner somewhere, but walking down the street together, hand in hand, me and you, just kicking it, just the two of us. Very therapeutic for me. I love spending time with my wife. We love each other and we have fun with each other. We crack up and we big belly laughs. So that's one. That's one. Two, the videos that I do, Monday Moments with Malcolm. Those videos, and then our videos together, it's all therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
You can be bitter or you can be better. Mm-hmm. I choose to be better. And so every time I'm out there putting a video out there, or I'm trying to help somebody else, it's therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
And then prayer, on my knees, on my face, but I'm not doing all the talking. I spend time listening. Mm-hmm. And so that's therapeutic for me. That helps me. And I love to praise and worship. Being in the church home, it is all therapeutic. All therapeutic. And two, being honest with our children, saying, hey, you know what? I'm not Superman. I'm not okay, but I'm going to be okay. I remember, especially Michaela, she's so sensitive. And so Dad, are you okay? I'm like, Dad's going to be okay. Dad's going to be okay. You know, and so just being real and being honest.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's good. And as you said, just doing things that bring you joy, yes. You know, because that releases, as yes. You know, the dopamine. Yes. And the things that, you know, really make you happy, mm-hmm. Make your brain happy, and your whole body will respond accordingly.
And we love to dance. We love to have fun. We
love
all
that. Absolutely. But, you know, I think that's important for someone who's really going through and really struggling. You know, try. I mean, even if you just talk out loud to yourself, if that's how you want to start it off, like just getting it out and telling your story, and then you know, maybe talk to a counselor, and as you said, you know, talk to God. Yes, and but just have someone that you can talk to.
And going back to what you said about talking to your doctor not listening, then finding someone that does listen to you. Do not I repeat, do not be afraid to offend your doctor. A lot of times people suffer in silence because they say, oh, I don't want to hurt my doctor's feelings. I don't want to offend my doctor. No, your doctor's supposed to be big enough to handle that. Share what's on your heart, share what's on your mind. And if they do not listen, find somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's what you did. You found somebody else. Now, we appreciate what the doctor did and how he did help. But when it was time to move on, it was time to move on. Right. It's about your life. No one, and you say this all the time, no one knows your body better than you do.
Absolutely.
No one.
Absolutely. And what you're feeling is real. And whether that be mental, physical, I mean, what you're feeling, and that's okay. And everyone, we can't put patients or anyone into a box like, okay, you're in this category, you're in this category, you're in this category. It doesn't work that way. And the same thing with, and I talk about this with medications, a lot of times, a lot of people don't enroll in the studies. So the side effects, they may have never been seen before. And so, we talk about this, especially with African Americans. We don't typically enroll in studies for medications. So our side effects can be a lot different, but that's for anybody. And so I can't look at it and say, oh, I've never seen that side effect in this medication. So no, that can't be the medication. That's not true. It absolutely could be the medication. You could be one of one, right, that has that side effect. But for you, it's real. And listening is important.
Yeah.
Listening is important.
Absolutely. Agreed.
What else do you have to say?
You know what? This was good. I think we need to let them chew on this.
Yes.
Let them chew on this.
Yes.
I think this was good. I hope you feel the same way.
Let us know, though, how you feel about it. And if you have any questions, and we would love to see your comments and all of that.
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you want to share?
No, that's it. I can't wait to see you guys back for episode number 3.
Yes.
What are we going to talk about?
Thank you so much. We'll figure it out later.
It's supposed to be like a cliffhanger.
Well, I know. My mind is like not sure yet. We'll figure it out. Stay tuned.
All right. That's all we have. Bye for now.
Bye for now.